Basically, Mr. Hyland, that an association as it's written in the Brussels Agreement and also in the Ohrid Agreement will create a second Bosnia, a dysfunctional state.
It will create a Bosnia. It will create a horrific situation. And by his actions, by his brave, consistent, persistent actions, the Prime Minister, Kurti, is avoiding that as much as humanly possible. And every time he is opposed, it means you do not have a good hospital in Kosovo. You do not have a good railway. You don't have the mine solved. You don't have the water solved, because it is the excuse to keep Kosovo broken. And interestingly enough, as I mentioned before, also to some extent, Serbia itself.
Well, then, do you see a possibility, Mr. Hyland, for a restart process regarding the dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia, and maybe taking a greater or a final factor of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, regarding the process, and maybe cutting a deal in Washington, D.C. as well, a second chance between the two countries?
I fervently hope and pray that there is a restart, that there is a review of all of this, and that does occur in Washington or wherever. And I would hope that new voices and attitudes are brought to the table. But I would hope that Richard Grenell as well came to the table on this, because he deserves credit to the extent of what he's achieved, and of course what the prime minister has achieved. And I believe that a catalyst.
Well, Mr. Hyland, he was harsh. Let me just interrupt in a second. He was harsh towards Kurti. He was very harsh in the language. He still is. He is not involved in the process right now, but he was very critical to Mr. Kurti, and the relationship between him and Mr. Kurti was very bad.
I agree with you. It was very bad. But please understand, the relationship between Donald Trump and Secretary of State Rubio was so acid, so horrible. The things that Donald Trump said about Secretary Rubio were horrific. And I can tell you that no two individuals form more of a team watching each other's back than Rubio and Trump. That was then, now is now. And whatever the story is...
What is changed? What is changed now, Mr.
Well, we have a perspective on history now that's different. Situations change, perspectives change. For instance, I told you about the water situation in Ukraine. When I mentioned that to someone the other day, they said, "My God, Christopher, I've spoken with 4 people in Washington. They never even mentioned that." People only know what's in front of them. And we have a very different history right now. And also, at least we forget that since those days, millions and millions of folks have attended mass rallies in Belgrade against the current regime. Now, that does not mean that those voices and those feet are liberal-minded. They're nationalistic, in my opinion.
Yes.
Very nationalistic.
Yes, they are.
There's no question about it. However, there needs to be at some point a pragmatic approach. And I think if at the same time, Prime Minister Kurti at the same time initiated a revisit and a continuation of the Washington Agreement, yet at the same time made